Matthew, are you ready to read Dream fanfiction?
No one read this.
I'll be the narrator, and you will be
I'm doing this.
GeorgeNotFound. Let's begin. George took his merry time, heading from the dull parking lot to his equally dull school. Maybe it was the seasons changing from fall to winter, or maybe it was the singular fact today was a Monday. But George couldn't help but sigh at the idea of making it through a whole new day of school. Then another 4 after that, just to do homework. Over the weekend and be back in the same position. Still though, George found himself at the large static grey doors within minutes, his body tingling at the newfound warmth his sweater couldn't provide. Things looked the same as always, a long hallway, blah 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 blah. Speaking of none other than the jocks, George was barely able to dodge into a nearby bathroom as Nick Smith, Sapnap, came racing through the halls, knocking over a couple of people as the white handkerchief tied around his head billowed in the wind. A smirk hit George's lips as he recognized the hoodie Nick was wearing, some of his own merch. It was mostly black, with a white square reading "Not Found" and some squiggles furrowing in random directions. One of the better parts of a coin, hoodie, and joggers set, if you ask George. Sadly though, George couldn't spend long relishing in his win. Classes would be starting in 10 minutes, which means the popular group would be arriving in 8 to be fashionably late. If only my mom— oh wait, that's your line. Go.
If only my mom wouldn't have had to move to down Florida, I could be living the life with all my friends back in London. But here I am, walking through a dark, unused side hallway in case somebody who doesn't like me gets to school early.
At the thought of his friends back in London, a ping lightly sounded in his backpack, recognizably the ringtone of a tall brunette. Wait, Wilbur's in this? I was just pulling up the hood of his sweater. George made sure to keep his head down as he trotted over, put in the combination to his lock, and hurriedly grabbed his books, catching snippets of the conversation happening barely more than a yard from him. Did you see his new post? Like when he jumped in the lava to stop his fall and caught himself on a leaf block. That was crazy. George didn't quite recognize that feminine voice.
I know. Looks my— wait, what? Looks my— that's—
Far more compulsive side of George was begging to tell the entire school that the person they so often talked about, like a celebrity, was him. However, he found the control to stop himself, scurrying to his first period, landing in his front row seat minutes before a final bell rang. It must have been nearly 30 minutes into the biology class when a slow creak alerted everyone's attention onto the door, where a tall blonde boy made his way in, jogging to the teacher's desk to hand him what was presumably a late slip.
Humor Tommy.
Sorry, mister, had to prepare for the game. He wore a charming grin which pushed his freckled cheek.
I don't like this. After this video, it's just gonna be me suffering.
Clay John— what the fuck? The professor nodded excitedly, making a hand signal that was supposed to represent school pride. Was a school gain. But what annoyed George was how he got away with anything, and how completely unfair that was. If George had come into class late, he would have gotten the detention. But the taller just flashed a handsome smile, mentioned something about the football team he was the captain of, and was immediately off the hook. But as George had seen far too many times, nothing is fair. Having to leave his cat in London, that definitely wasn't fair. Failing the test because his friend cheated off of him without permission. Wait, what? Since when did we get that? The teacher making Clay sit next to him because of every other seat was taken? Wait, oh shit.
Just watch the author of this fanfic copyright strike us.
I'm gonna get a lawsuit on my doorstep. Hey, nothing personal, but I'm suing you for reading 3 seconds of my fanfic. Once the entire class had emptied out of the room, George focusing to ignore the loud talking of the jocks joking on how it must have been to work with shrimp, he made his way out as well, stopping dead in his tracks at the sticky note holding tight to his locker door. It was a soft lime green, contrasting the darker green of his locker brightly, but it was the words that led George's breath to catch. Your accent is cute, add me dream— wait, what? Wait, is this part— wait, is that part—
who's messing with me?
George immediately checked around. Definitely his locker. Definitely no jocks or bullies hanging around corners to laugh at him. He definitely had an accent. Maybe someone put it in the wrong locker, or it's just another prank. George had been subject to enough cruel pranks similar to this one to have no trust in the little green sticky note. With an unsure reach, George grabbed the little note, easily recognizing that it was a Discord username.
How bad can it be? Probably pretty bad. Finally, George gave in, lazily typing a sequence of numbers into Discord and adding the person that came up. Their profile depicted a smiley face blob surrounded by lime and green, very similar to the sticky note. Wow, they're organized.
George quickly typed out a message to the anonymous person
Hello? Who are you?
before closing his phone and rushing to science class, immediately vowing himself not to tell whoever was behind the Dream account anything, as there was now way... What? Now? Okay, whatever.
There was no way.
No, we read it as it said here. As there was now way he would let someone prank him this obviously. George sat in his seat, watching as the old professor set up her papers. She seemed to be taking her time. As it was near 10 minutes after the final bells, she first addressed the class.
Today, we will be dissecting frogs.
So that class sucked. Just one sentence, so that class sucked.
That was pretty funny, okay, I'll give
This
it that.
fan fiction, this is just...
Look at the right, it says, yes sir. Look at that picture, George, I hate that.
So now George found himself skipping lunch, residing in the bathroom, while he frantically tried to get a little gooey mark from a piece of frog leg Schlatt?
Schlatt?
That's the wrong
How did
spelling.
Schlatt come here?
That's just the wrong spelling of Schlatt. After nearly 10 minutes, George accepted that it simply wasn't coming off with the cheap and trashy paper towels his school had invented it. The mark was barely visible by now, but it still irked George to no end. Finally, deciding he needed to get his mind out, George pulled out his phone, something reminding him of the message he had received from Wilbur earlier. Opening it up, George quickly responded, smiling at how his old friend was immediately typing again. How's America treating you?
Kinda oh.
Wilbur is typing. While he waited for the taller's response, George took a moment. Are they like short shaming George or something? What's happening? George took a moment to fix one if his hairs that had decided to go rogue. But no matter how much he fought, it sprung back up. With a groan, George returned to his phone, pointedly annoying the out of place hair as he continued to talk to Wilbur. Wait, can you make a groan noise? Bro, why don't you tell me just them? You're famous. You would like so cool.
But then they would like me for the wrong reasons.
I guess. Found any hot singles?
No.
What? George giggled at Wilbur's sense of humor before quickly joking back. Yeah, but none wanna mingle.
I'm glad you read my line for me. Thank you.
At this, a joking voice called out behind him. What were you laughing at? Incredibly surprised, George sent his phone nearly halfway across the room. Wait, did he just Kobe his phone across the hallway?
Yeah, he just chucked it.
Didn't mean to surprise you that much. At this, the boy keeled over, wheezing way too loudly, his mouth agape in a glorious smile. Clay Johnson, laughing at me.
Noise, that's senpai.
George didn't take another second before rushing to his phone, a loud groan filling the room. I'm just gonna replay the same noise you made. As he looked at his shattered screen, his mom was never going to forgive him. Also noticing the splintered screen, Clay stopped laughing, his face morphing into more of a grimace. Aw, shit, man. Sorry. When George didn't respond, still looking despondently at his screen, Clay continued. What were you doing in here anyways?
Let's just ignore his broken phone.
he just like throws his phone. Ah, no big deal. My senpai's right behind him.
Anyway. What are you doing talking to me anyways?
Again, George really hadn't meant to sound so snarky, but this time, he could at least conclude a reasoning, his broken phone still laying in his hands, which was quickly dulling his mood. With a sigh, Clay shrugged, heading back out of the bathroom and towards the cafeteria. What a dipshit. Why is Dream so obsessed with him? I don't get it. With a resounding groan, George collapsed onto the couch. His mom shouldn't be back till around 6, and by then he would already be at the game. Sports really weren't his scene, but the math teacher was promising extra credit to anyone who wore team colors to the match, and his 98.9% in the class couldn't hurt to be raised. But for now, he had 3 hours, which sped by as he completed his homework, quickly edited a video, picked out a hoodie that fit the school's gold color, with black skinny jeans to match, and had a quick bowl of mac and cheese. Since his mom wouldn't be back for a while, he would be walking to the match, which wouldn't have been too big of a deal had it not been almost winter. Okay, I have no idea what Florida is like in IDK if it even gets cold in the winter.
Isn't it a hot place?
I mean, I've heard people complain about Florida before. As he slowly wandered a recognizable path, George just dissipated into thought.
Oh, I'm supposed to read that. I bet the game is gonna be really loud. I should have brought earbuds, and I bet it's gonna take forever. They make us spend like 30 minutes watching the cheerleader team. I guess that's to entertain the dudes, though. Imagine being straight. Weird shit. I bet the football team didn't even do their homework. Imagine being straight. Weird champ. No. Okay, wasn't George in the lover host?
Yeah.
So like technically he's not gay.
This is just a common theme in all fanfiction at this point.
That's true. No, that's true.
Finally, a sudden hush from the crowd led George to look up, recognizing the other team in brown and red jerseys, heading out onto the field. Soon, his own school's team was exiting the locker room to a loud applause. Yellow and black jerseys thrown lazily over their chest padding, white helmets glaring harshly against the soon-setting sun. Due to this being their school's field, a large majority of the crowd was cheering for the Gators, but a subsection of the bleachers was held off for a group from the other school, mostly wearing. You know what I want to do? Drink bleach. That's what I do. At a whistle, George was caught off guard by the ref stepping in front of Schlatt and pointing in his own direction. Soon, Schlatt. Okay, can we point off the inconsistent spelling of Schlatt? Like, what is this? Is so like the disrespect. The disrespect, man. Sure enough, Schlatt headed off the field and towards the parking lot. Not before telling George to bring extra lunch money tomorrow, just the usual. Soon he recognized.
Cool mugging.
I can't. I'm sorry.
Wait, is George gonna become the quiet kid?
What a massive shift from George and Dream falling in love to George causing a school shooting. George was nearly off the field when some light footsteps and a voice.
Is it gonna be like one of those sports animes where you're gonna find a way to talk about friendship in the middle?
No, don't. Hi. George turned to see the boy from the other team. He had noticed smiling at him. From this angle, the boy was actually a fair bit taller than him, at least 3 inches. And his hair looked a lot darker now than it was later in the night.
Oh my god, he's cute. Oh my god, I don't want to say this. No, don't make me say it.
So, I was like wondering if I could get your number. George couldn't remember the last time he had smiled this wide. He probably looked insane, but again he was way too excited to care. He immediately went to grab his phone to hand it for the other to put his number in, but was cut off as he remembered it sitting at home on the counter, shattered into pieces. As the other boys saw him stop, a frown hit his face.
I'm so sorry, I just broke my phone today. I probably won't get a new one for a while.
George could immediately recognize from the other's expression that he thought he was lying. The look on his face was physically painful, so George was quickly talking again to make sure he didn't waste this opportunity.
But I have a computer. Do you have like Discord or something?
At this, the boy smiled genuinely, nodding and writing his Discord username on a paper, which he handed to George before disappearing behind the bleachers.
The part where he says like, I have a computer. I can just imagine this.
George tried to turn and leave before everyone else like his original plan had entailed, but quickly the rest of the school had caught up, surging past him as they mostly headed to the parking lot, many sending him quick quips, things like, "Damn, shrimp is pulling," or some not so kind slurs.
This covers racism as well?
George couldn't have cared less. Nothing in the world could ruin this night for him, but something could surely distract him from it. Clay Johnson, staring straight at him, a long frown hitting his face. He seemed to be lost in thought, as no matter how much George looked at him, he just stared dazingly back, almost looking past George. He didn't look disapproving or judgingly, as the rest of the school had. Just lost?
This is a love triangle. No.
Whew! This was kinda long. I really hope you liked it. Any opinions are appreciated, and please remember to stay hydrated. Smiley face.
You know, I wanna drink water. I'm gonna drink water. I'll be back.
Alright, folks, that is gonna be it for DNF High School fanfiction reading. If this video does well, we'll do a part 2. But for now, see you later.
No. No.